Hormoz hell continues. CoreWeave, nice earnings. Goodbye, Bitcoin. Hello, compute. We're going to be looking at charts with Leisha. We've got Fed rates moving and so much more. So let's get into it and let's roll some credits, Amin. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Welcome to the State of the Market. I am the founder and CEO of Option Pit. If you're watching me on YouTube or on Twitter, please like, subscribe, give us a retweet, give us a comment, whatever. We want to hear from you. Better yet, email us support@optionpit.com and join the party here because it is a party. Starting off the day, we came out the gate booming. On the S&P, up to as high as 77.65. We're currently up about 18 points. Still up. You can see we've been in a pretty nice range for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Just kind of holding right here, right around this 77.50 level. It's been a magnet for the market. The Dow, pretty flat. You're getting a nice rally out of the NASDAQ. AI-led stocks do look stronger. We had some great earnings out of CoreWeave yesterday, and it is getting a really nice pop. We've got some other big earnings hitting tonight. Cerberus being one that is reporting that they might have reported this morning. It's having itself a day. And a few other names. The big one tomorrow is AMAT that we're going to be watching, Applied Materials. The Russell up about 0.3%. All is not perfectly well, though, because RSP is down, which tells you that market breadth is not great. It's not bad, right? RSP is only down 37 cents. But your winners are your mega caps, your AI names today. Not so much Main Street names, if you will. That's what's behind that action. CPI did hit the month-over-month of 0.1, annual rate of 3.4. That was a miss. We were looking for 3.5. Core up 0.2. Core was 2.5. That's dangerously close to that 2%. Core is X food and energy, but I don't know how you X energy from inflation when energy is what we need for everything. But that being said, markets coming out of the gate like the number, especially tech. And if you're looking at bond yields, the 10-year note is falling back a little bit on that CPI news. So is the 30-year. That is good news for the market. Oil, pretty flat today. Not a lot of news out of Hormuz. We are just kind of sitting here on hold until we get a move one way or the other. But I do believe that we may be forming a flag here. It's just a matter whether that flag turns into a bull or a bear. I think oil is getting ready for a move back to 70, or there is potential for a move back into the 90s here. Move back to the 90s would create havoc. And last but not least, let's talk VIX, because VIX coming in at 1480. I'm going to tighten this up, not to all. And if you're looking at the year over year, the only time we've been lower than this was the period in between Christmas and New Year's. So we're at levels where we could be seeing some low volatility for a little bit. And that changes the entire dynamic of this market. It makes trading a very different animal, more easier, in my opinion, but obviously a little less exciting. But boring can be good, and this is one of those. Boring may be very, very good. I have given you a trade in VIX that I like, and I've said it multiple times. I really like the 15 puts for like 8 cents. They're going to take a minute to burn, but low risk, high reward. If I'm right and we see a VIX go to into the 13s, those 8-cent options will end up being worth 80 cents. That'll be a pretty nice win. We are running a UVIX option strategy in special situations. That trade is approaching up 33%. I'm looking forward to make at least 50%. And the last thing we need to continue to watch is, of course, the Japanese yen versus the dollar. And I'm going to switch this to daily. And again, kind of holding here. So this stability is what produces a low VIX. And we're seeing some of that. All right, now, the next story I want to talk about is Riot Blockchain. Riot Blockchain, you might say. Company hasn't done anything. Aren't they just a Bitcoin miner? Well, they were a Bitcoin miner. And now they are abandoning mining to sell compute to Anthropic. Think about that. They are doing the math and saying we make more money selling processing ability, computing ability to Anthropic than we can on Bitcoin. What does that tell you about where they see Bitcoin going, at least in the near term? And what does that tell you about where we see AI going? Everybody sees big bad MSTR, and they're waiting for them to blow up. And when MSTR finally does, and we get the generational opportunity to buy Bitcoin, maybe that's when Riot flips things back the other way. But they signed a big contract. They're selling computing processing power to Anthropic now. Riot is. And you'll see more of that. Don't be surprised if we see something similar out of like a Marathon. In fact, I would be shocked if we don't. But it changes the dynamic of these companies. I'm going to have to do a deep dive into these names with Hans. But this is a development. You know, they're the endless compute. How many times have you guys heard Hans talk about endless compute? This is a clear story of that. All right, it is Wednesday. We have the VIX at 1480. I am going live today at 4:15 with our next guest to talk about 0 and 1 DTE trading. We're going to talk a little bit about single stock futures and all kinds of opportunities in front of us, and how you can go to bed and wake up with money. Should be a lot of fun. Joining me is our own Queen of the Candles. She is Leisha J. Leslie. We just call her the Queen. Good morning, Leisha.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you? I had a nice visit. My parents were here for 3 weeks.
Your parents are here for 3 weeks?
They were. They just left yesterday.
All right. Well, it's
That's
nice.
great.
It is great. It is great. You know, yeah, 3 weeks is a long time.
A lot of eating and drinking, that's for sure.
Yes, indeed. All right. So, Alicia, let's dive in here. What was your reaction to, because I want your kind of opinion on CPI and the Fed here in a little bit, but this riot story, does it to you say more about data center and how much money they're making on that? Or does it say to you, maybe Bitcoin's dead money maybe we're actually in Bitcoin winter and we don't realize it?
To cause Riot to pivot to a new, I don't know if it's new, but a different
I mean,
industry.
they're still mining, but they're taking some of their mining compute and selling it to Anthropic. That is, you never would have thought you'd hear that from Bitcoin people, right? But in the end, these companies need to make money. But what does that tell you, that they think they're going to make more money selling to Anthropic than they will mining?
Well, it doesn't look like the market believes it. Look at the stock. Right? Stock's up 50 cents on the news.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not really doing a lot on it. I would have thought there would have been more out of it.
Right? A whole lot more. Isn't all this our whole future of everything?
Mm-hmm.
The demise of humanity, probably, but I know I sound like an old person, but I am, and I don't like it at all, I have to admit.
Well, the good news is we're old enough that we'll either be culled, or they'll have some sort of like little retirement area to set us out to pasture. The machines take over.
We'll be cold.
Yeah.
Oh,
so one of two ways: you don't have to deal with computer hell, or you get like a nice little pasture to go recreate in.
You just go right over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep your mouth
over there. Yeah. We're gonna go put Wheel of Fortune on 24/7. You just relax.
Get it zipped, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
No, I don't know. Mark, I can't pretend I know anything about all that. I don't. I look at the chart. The chart says no one cares, right? They don't care.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the chart that for Bitcoin that I'm more interested in is the MSTR chart here, and the fact that it has been coiling here for basically since the end of June. End of June, bottoms out almost to 83, rallies back to 100, and then has basically bounced between 90 and 100 for a month straight. It's on a day-to-day basis, there's volatility, but on an intraday basis, there's none. It has gone nowhere. It's been dead money. And, I wonder whether this is a harbinger of maybe some, Bitcoin's been kind of dead money too. And what do you see out of this coil?
I want to know who's buying it. Like, who's supporting it and buying it here? I think it could be accumulation down here at the lows, but I'm with you. I think that eventually it breaks down below 91, then 85. It's coming down here to 68.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you pull up her charts and let's look at some of the big indexes while we're at it. So there's MSTR. Yeah, it's been in this range, and it can't seem to break out. But when it does, I think it breaks out lower, takes Bitcoin with it, goes into receivership, Bitcoin bottoms, generational buying opportunity.
And Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Not an MSTR.
Yeah.
But I do think you're going to get. I firmly believe you're going to get a chance to buy Bitcoin in the high 30s or low 40s. That is coming.
Wow.
Mark that down, folks. Today is August 12th. And I just told you Bitcoin's going to trade into the 30s before it gets a big rally.
It's sideways also. Sideways.
Yeah.
It has to break below 58,500 to drop like that.
Yeah, I think it'll happen all at once. So, Leisha, let's talk about some of the bigger picture. We have the VIX at now 1480. You have the S&P stuck at 7750. And, what are you seeing in the charts on the major indexes as we're kind of, is this a bull flag? Is this a coil before we make a big move? What are you seeing in the S&P 500?
I like the futures chart, and yes, I think it is just sideways, although it is having difficulty each time to close below that 7780 level on the futures. Watch for a breakdown below 7726, and then we could possibly get a pullback. I don't think it'll be anything major, though, but this is a bullish uptrend. Bullish uptrend. You can see it right there in the pitchfork, straight up.
NASDAQ looks the same. NASDAQ looks the same. Dow looks the same.
Yeah. It's interesting that Qs haven't been able to retrace to their highs, though.
Yeah.
Oh, look at SMH. Little pop there today. Watch SMH trade over its 50-day. Then we can probably get the Qs to rally here.
Yeah, SMH has been, the chips have really been where they've been unable to regain some stuff, and Google looks terrible. A lot of people are starting to ask me, and I know I'm throwing you on the spot, but it just dawned on me. A lot of people are like, when is it time to buy Google? When is it time to buy Google? Because it's back to 350, and is it going to rebottom out into the 330s? What do you see in the chart here?
I have it sitting on support right here. Watch this level. Watch it close above or below right here, 342. It could trade down to the 200-day and then down to the bottom of my channel, comes in around 322. But it needs to hold this level, which it has many times, not many, but several times, 3 times here before. I'm sorry, it did not hold right here. But this is a significant level. You can see how the stock pauses here. So yes, watch it hold this and watch for a turnaround. Otherwise, no, you're going to revisit the 200-day, 330 half. I think it looks
I'm going to be... Google seems to have kind of fumbled on AI a little bit recently. And today is a day, kind of a somewhat red day for MAG. Meta's down, Micron's up big, Microsoft is down. That's kind of what's stopping the NASDAQ from taking off, is we're starting to see this pattern of, SMH versus FANG, if you will. And, that to me, it is something that the market will do for a week, 2 weeks before it then kind of breaks out one way or the other. So that's another real sign that we're in a holding pattern. So we got a couple of minutes here. I want to pivot to the CPI number, Leisha. CPI came in pretty light. Not, below on regular, on year over year, month over month, and core came in line. So pretty good report if you are not wanting the Fed to hike rates. Yesterday, the odds so 1 week ago, the odds of one rate hike were 54%. As of yesterday, they were 48. This morning, those odds are down to 36% on the FedWatch tool. And going out to December, so there's 3 more meetings left in the year. Odds of no hike for the year are up to 27%. They were 19% a week ago. Odds of only one hike are about 45%. And odds of a second rate hike this year sit at just over 25%. The bond market is pulling back a little bit on the CPI news today. Let's go US 10Y. But those yields are still 4.66%. Mortgage rates are right near highs. And this still looks like it's in a general uptrend to me when I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to point out people have to remember when they look at when economic news is reported, the numbers, really all the market cares about is it's in line with the forecast, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't this a jump in inflation? We actually had a jump in inflation, but it was in line with what they were forecasting, so it all is well.
Yeah, I mean, it was somewhat
eventually
somewhat
doesn't that
below.
kind of seep through? Pardon me?
Yeah, I mean, on a general year, there's something called healthy inflation, according to economists.
Yeah.
3.4% is not that. Right? In a perfect world, the combination of productivity and wage gain should outperform inflation. That tells you that everyone is getting wealthier.
Yes.
We are
Keeping
not
up.
there right now. We are not there as a society right now, right? And it's a combination of, U.S. debt, real inflation caused by oil, and the AI data center build out. And what I would say is the big piece is we have yet to see AI adoption pollute its way, and I mean pollute in a good way, pollute its way into productivity, into lowering costs, right? AI is supposed to lower costs. And in fact, what we're finding is that they were wrong. So far, they've been wrong that it was going to cost jobs. AI actually needs people to interact with it right now. So are we going to get the $1 million question is, assuming we can figure out Iran in the next 6 months, big assumption. Can the productivity gains from AI and lower costs enough to make up for all this borrowing, all this demand, and lower inflation enough? And we just don't know right now. But I look at the way bonds are behaving, and they're saying no. If you consider interest rates, the 30-year, the 10-year, as the ultimate answer to whether inflation is going to get under control in the near term, the bond market's telling you it's not.
Right. My 30-year yield chart is bullish, looking higher. Once it clears that 528, 5.28, it's going to trade higher. But we do have a bearish divergence on the RSI, meaning the relative strength isn't there. So perhaps more sideways action in between these two support and resistance levels, and we don't get a pop, right?
Yeah.
Allows the market to continue to rally.
We got a nice CPI report, and the 10-year is all the way down to 4.66 from a close of 4.6869. So it's not like we're getting a wild move in the 10-year.
Sitting right on
it's
support.
Yep.
I would watch this tomorrow to hold. This is going to break out here, either higher or it's going to collapse. So The 10-year's getting a little squeeze, I think, right here on the chart.
All
Again,
right.
he has the bearish divergence on the RSI. So maybe it
I
comes
think
down.
it maybe that would be, if you're looking for a bull case for the market, that would be it. You get the
Yes.
10-year back at 4.25, market's going to take off like like one of those Road Ripper toy cars that I used to have, where you pull the rip cord on it. Leisha, you and I are going to be live this evening at 4:15.
Yes, yes. We want everyone to hang out right after the close and join us.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. What are you now? I know, but why don't you? And I hinted a little bit. Why don't you tell everybody why they need to be there?
Well, you need to be there because we have a tilt scorecard, helps
Mm-hmm.
us determine and gives us evidence that what we're seeing on the charts is real and true. The options
Mm-hmm.
volume shows it. We combine that with the chart reading and we take our overnight trades, make money
Yeah,
while we sleep, right?
I do like that idea. Put on a trade at the end of the day. Wait, go and go to the gym, go play with your kids, go golfing, whatever. And
Yeah.
then wake up the next morning and having paid for your round of golf. That's plus more. That sounds good to me.
It's
In fact, I may go golfing after we're done with our discussion today. Maybe I'll do a little
awesome.
twilight, and then I'll pay for it on Thursday night.
Yes, so the mastermind is 6 weeks. Actually, it's 7 weeks because we have a bonus week to talk about single stock futures, which could be I think, it's the exchange's answers to the poly market and Kalshi and all that, right? The kids are
Mhm.
so into that. Single
Yeah.
stock futures, very inexpensive to get in and out of. You don't have options to deal with. It's pretty cool. Anyway, that's our bonus week. Before that, though, you're going to learn from start to finish how to make the overnight trades. And our members of Project Next are already doing it on their own. They are so funny. My members are so eager and greedy. Give us more trades. Give us more trades. It's so, the adrenaline in the morning's awesome.
It's
It's
fun.
fun. It's cool.
Yeah. I really enjoy it, and it's been a lot of fun. And we've got a good request. The big earnings tonight, and just for those of you not watching in the chat but watching on YouTube and X, Martin wants to know if we can look at Cisco ahead of their earnings. That is the big earnings tonight. Previewing that number, and Leisha, while you get the chart up, normally they're looking for about a 5.3% move out of Cisco. They're pricing in a 7.5% move. So they are looking for fireworks on this one. Leisha, what do you see in the Cisco chart?
Well, it needs to clear that 124 there. It's been stopped out many times. Let's see, we need a pitchfork here. I haven't looked at this chart in a long while. Look at that. That's
wow.
our median line right there. So 7% is what? Not 12, maybe $8-9. Well,
Yeah,
it's 9.
it's going to be about $9. That would put you near those highs.
You have the gap. You've made, well, actually, you closed the gap. Look at that day. Wow, look at that candle.
Yeah.
Many times, folks, remember when you have a gap, sometimes the stock has to close that gap before it can continue to rally. But we know earnings are a coin toss, Mark. That's why here at Option Pit, I know you and I and Andrew, we don't like to trade them because it is literally a coin toss. The chart is not going to tell you what's happening. But this chart looks like it's maintain the gap. Usually you maintain the gap, you continue in the same direction. In this case, would be higher.
So
don't trade off that though, because earnings are a coin toss.
Yeah, all other things being equal, we like it higher, but all other things are not equal because they have earnings tonight. So
Right.
ceteris paribus not in effect. Who knew? Look at me using Latin today. Isn't that awesome?
We're so
So-
impressed.
Oh, I'm so smart. Look at me and my Latin. What a guy. So, folks, let me, we're running up against it. Folks, please join me and Leisha tonight, 4:15. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have fun with it, and you're going to learn some stuff as well. We never do these without teaching you a couple of tricks of the trade. So make sure to join us live. And Leisha, thanks for giving us your charting insight. And, we had a really nice discussion today. We talked about, we talked about CPI, and we had a nice discussion around Riot and compute and what that means for Bitcoin. Went through the charts and talked about what inflation and interest rates mean for us. And we even gave you a little bonus of previewing Cisco earnings. Once again, come and join us tonight at 4:15, immediately following the bell. So for Leisha J. Leslie, our Queen of the Candles, otherwise known as the Queen, I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. I'll see you here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you for being here with me today. And as always, thank you, Amin.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amin.